and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and we are going to have some fun tonight. I've got a great panel, fabulous special guest. Shelley Murphy's with us tonight. Hey, Shelley.
Hey there from Virginia. How's everybody doing?
Good. So good to see you. We've got Laura Hedgecock. Hi, Laura.
Greetings from Michigan.
It's good to see you. Mary Kircher Roddy's here. Hi, Mary.
Hi, in Seattle, even though the picture looks like Ireland.
Seattle, Ireland. What's the difference? We've got the other Dan on. Hi, Dan. Dan.
Hello, greetings from a better part of Michigan than what Laura lives in.
And Bernice Bennett. Hi, Bernice.
Hello, greetings from Maryland.
All righty, we got people from everywhere, and all you relative race fans. Bernice and I have our shirts on. All you relative race fans, look, we have the man himself. We've got Dan. Dan Debenham. Yeah.
Greetings from Relative Race's working offices, where we are tirelessly trying to find relatives all across the country. So,
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Last night was season 8, day 1. What in the world, Dan? What in the world? Day 1. They came in with helicopters. Cool. Helicopters landing. That was really
we
neat.
decided we typically try to find a different way for me to enter, the season. And this time we said, well, what if we just kind of like forgot about you and we bring them all in on helicopters? I went, that's cool. Can we afford it? And when we found out that we could afford it, we said that's a really cool idea. So they were pretty jacked. As you could see, they were pretty jacked, and they had no idea that we were going to put them up in helicopters and land them just outside the park where we were filming. So it was quite the endeavor. We had to get FAA special permission to land right over the football stadium there where the Tennessee Titans play. And it was fun. It was fun. And there was a lot of fruit and vegetables waiting for them.
Just a few fruit and vegetables waiting for them. It was hysterical. The whole thing was hysterical. So, we don't want to give anything away. So, if you haven't seen the show yet, don't watch this.
Definitely. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But food and family, you told them. Food and family. So I think that
loose theme does run throughout the episodes here and there.
I was going to ask you that.
There's a loose theme. We always have that theme, right? For every season. And this time we try to show, at least every other episode, an important time where family gathers around a meal. And I can tell you that day 10, where we wind up in day 10, we bring it, I will tell you this, we bring it full circle. You will, I think, I really like our day 10. So.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking hot dog eating contest, something like that. Oh.
Method or thought process with that?
Great question, and it's fairly simple, believe it or not. It takes us a while to get to that point to make it simple, but what we do is once we finally narrowed in on the final 4 teams, and that goes through a funnel of about, we usually start with several hundred. We quickly narrow it down to about 40. We start research on those 40. And then our professional genealogists, just like all of you guys are, they quickly tell us within a couple of weeks, they can say, hey, I don't think this team's going to pan out, or hey, this team looks much more promising. So then we narrow it down to about 12 to 16. And those 12 to 16, we put a full court pressure on. We just go out and find everybody, and we hire everything from lawyers to petition state courts to private detectives to find people to, we've literally done it all, and once we dial in on the 4 teams, the actual 4 teams,
Right.
that are going to be on the show. And we've contacted the relatives that help us to tell their story. Then
Mhm.
we go to the producers here at our offices. There are 4 producers, 1 for each team. And we meet every Monday morning. Yesterday we had another meeting. I mean, this morning we had another meeting. We meet and we discuss, okay, where are your teams lining up? Meaning, where are we going to have day 1? So it's got to be centrally located where from there, all the teams can get out to their first relative. As you've seen in the past, that hasn't always worked. Sometimes
No.
as we get more and more database into the DNA findings, you know, when we first started Relative Race season 1, we had a database of 700,000. That was it.
Oh my goodness.
Now we have a database
wow.
of about 55 million. Okay.
Yeah.
And so initially it was, you'll notice that we were always just up and down the Eastern Seaboard because that's where our country, you know, it came from there and everybody kind of moved west from there. Well, now that we have more and more people in the database, you'll see that we're more and more going to the West Coast because we can find more relatives that are now out there as well. And so sometimes you'll see where we start the show and then the teams have to fly out. One or 2 of the teams have to fly to
Colorado.
Yeah, Team Black had to do that, right?
Yeah. And in fact, that was, guys, that, you know, we put it in the show, but you have no idea how difficult it was for us to gear up all the equipment, have it all ready. And then we had this unbelievable late snowstorm just dumped all over.
I saw them cleaning the car off.
Oh, it gets worse, guys. Wait till it does. The storm doesn't clear up. It stays with them. So yeah,
thank you for that.
Let's take
logistics.
Let's take a minute and sorry, Dan. Let's take a couple of minutes and talk a little bit just about the team. So we've got Team Red, which is Armani and Jarrell, and he's adopted. Jarrell's adopted, and he's looking for anything that he could find, really. Anything, and he just wants to know his story. He said, and
I can tell you that Team Red. A lot of people ask who's my favorite team, and you know, it's kind of like asking who's your favorite child or who's your favorite grandchild, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh man, I love them all.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I kind of fell in love with Jarrell and Amani.
I can see why.
Kind of early on, Amani is so adorable.
Yes.
And Jarrell is so lovable.
Yes.
That, I mean, between he and Steven on Team Green, who's just a big teddy bear.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of hard to pull a favorite out, but they kind of grab my heart early and often, and I think they will the audience as well. You know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt.
I'm worried about the red team and their map reading abilities.
I'm
really worried.
Don't tell us, no spoilers.
You have good reason to worry.
Good reason to worry. Oh,
you have good reason to worry. We were just like, the guy's a driver. He drives in the military. And I'm thinking, how do you not know how to read a map? But
then anyway. you got Team Blue. JT can read a map because he's a firefighter. Yeah, that's what he does. So that's a plus for them, and that's who's looking for family. You know, I mean, he knows he came into this with no family, none whatsoever.
He's another one you fall in love with. Just fall in love with them.
Absolutely.
You know, you care for them. You know their story. In our case, we've worked on their story for 6-7 months before we get out on the road, and we know what's waiting for them.
Yes.
It's so emotional for our internal people. You know, they can't wait to get out, and
because they know
they're able to capture that magic that they think is going to happen. And when we have really good people like Amani or like JT or like Steven or it's helpful.
Stephen and Susan, they're really fun. And they're so sweet. You can just tell how connected they are as a couple. And Stephen, we were talking about this before you came on. Stephen had us crying from the beginning.
Yes.
He started the waterworks for us last night in the car, talking about, am I going to meet anybody? Who wants to meet me? This is so exciting that I'm going someplace where somebody wants to meet me. And I found that was a theme for a lot of the teams last night was, wow, people actually were contacted and said they were related to us and they want to meet us. And I just thought that was really sweet that
You
they
know,
were
Team Black, the
Yes.
twin sisters,
Mhm.
their story is, you'll find it's more complicated than the
Oh,
others.
I'm sure.
And we used to kind of try to not shy away isn't the right word. It's just, you know, initially we thought, you know, do we want to go down this road where everything isn't always potentially not always perfect?
Right.
But the reality is those are life stories. Everything
Exactly.
isn't perfect all the time.
Exactly.
And these girls are, you know, are really successful, you know, professionally.
Mhm.
They're older and, you know, they've heard things about their parents, their biological parents.
Right.
And they want to know what's true and what's not. And they want to face some really difficult questions that they've had their entire lives. And so their journey is a little bit different, meaning they're looking for family.
Right.
But you can tell they're just a little more like, what's out there, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that one of the things that they were saying is they just want the truth. They just
Yeah.
want truth. You know, they were told they were abandoned. Were they? Could they just not come back and get them? They just want the truth. And I think that's what most of these people want. They want the truth to get that closure in their lives. And it doesn't mean that they're going to become best friends with the family that they find. They
Right.
just want to know the story. They just want to know the story. So that's why this show is so wonderful, is you give them that opportunity and they know from day one that somebody wants to meet them. So it's just fabulous. And one other thing I want to tell you, I know everybody else has got questions for you, but just so you know, I so appreciate, especially starting last season, that you honored the adoptive parents. And I,
Yeah.
as an adoptive parent, I've got partial adopted kids, partial biological kids. And I, as an adoptive parent, just thank the show so much for doing that and honoring that they had parents that raised them.
Well, Cheri, I've got to tell you, this is true. So, you know, I see you and some of our other guests at Roots Tech, and it was about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago at Roots Tech that I started hearing, and maybe this was part of what people were telling me, but I wasn't hearing it maybe prior to this. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I started really hearing people say, you know, why don't you talk with the adoptive parents more? Why don't you bring them in? And my initial reaction was, well, because that's not our show. But the more, believe me, it's meaning I hear a lot of things. Well, why don't you give everybody the money? Well, because that's not our show. Well, why don't we do this? Well, because that's not our show. So, but I mean this sincerely. When I can't, going to Roots Tech for me is a giant focus group. It's the best focus group that you could go to, right?
Right.
And as you guys see, we have hundreds and hundreds of people waiting in line to go into our booth.
Yes.
And I like to spend time with every single one of those people. And I get all this feedback. And the feedback that I was getting regularly and more was, why aren't you including the adoptive parents? Well, it literally was, I will tell you that when I come back into our offices here, a lot of people don't realize that, and that's fine, but a lot of people think like I'm an actor or something. I'm like, I'm not an actor. I'm co-owner of the company that created the show.
Exactly.
And so I come back into our working production facilities. This is where I'm at Monday through Friday. And we talk at length and ad nauseum sometimes following Roots Tech because it's this big focus group. And I remember coming back and we were talking about what do we want to do different for next season. And I said, you know, guys, I am hearing a lot where people are asking, why don't you include something, a perspective from the adoptive family that raised these people? And I was pleasantly surprised to hear many within our company said, I've been thinking the same thing, we ought to do that. And so in all sincerity, Cheri, to you and many others, we actually do listen. And that feedback was, well, why don't you do that? And we thought about it and we thought, well, why don't we do that? Because we can make that part of the story.
Yep.
And you will find there's some very touching moments that happen with that in mind in this season as well.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know they're all have questions for you, but I didn't want to let you go without thanking you for that, because it really does mean a lot.
I think the show's better because of it.
I do too.
It shows that love is certainly not limited to blood.
Exactly.
Love is
Exactly.
out there in all forms, and I am stunned what adoptive parents do for their children. I'm stunned by that. And so I'm glad that we're able to now layer that in appropriately throughout each season. And there's more of that for this season.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for that. Okay, you're gonna make me start crying. Mary, you have a question?
I actually have two questions.
Great, go for it.
So one is, you were talking about how many you start out with and kind of winnow it down. Do those people that don't make the cut still get, are you able to share what you have found with them?
So I know that you're in Seattle, but I will say, because of the picture, top of the morning to you there.
That'll be my second question here in just a minute.
So the answer is no. The answer is no. And the reason why is I just don't have the manpower. I don't have people that can call and try to update every single person on what we found. I will tell you this, of the final 16 or so, sometimes it's 18, sometimes it's 20, but those that don't make it on the show that we've told that we are considering being on the show, and that's, like I said, that's between 8 and 20 teams. Those teams, if they don't make it on the show, we do give them all of the relatives that we found. And I'm often asked, Dan, you're such a jerk when you kick somebody off the show. And I'm like, well, I don't kick anybody off the show. That's just the rules of the show. But what they ask, and I understand this, is please tell me that you give them the information of the other relatives that they didn't meet. And our point is, not only do we give them the information of the relatives that they didn't meet, but we give them the information of all the relatives that will give us legal rights. Because believe me, we have many relatives that say, not you contacted me, and if you ever pass my name along or contact information, I'm going to sue you. That happened twice this season. It happens about 2 to 4 times a season that somebody says, not only do I not want to be part of your show, but if you pass my information along, I'll sue you. And so we just drop them. We just go, no problem. It's not a problem. That's certainly your right. And we will not ever contact you again. But everybody that gives us the ability that gives us permission, we pass that information along, including all the contact information.
Great.
That's great.
And in fact, for those of you who watch the shows, guys, you know that we actually came up with a vehicle. Well, that's maybe the wrong term with cars out there all the time, but we came up with I don't know how else to put it. We came up with a vehicle that allows them, after they earn their third strike, to still go on and meet another relative, because that's what this show is all about, ultimately.
Family.
So we came up with that golden ticket, the family golden ticket.
That was great. That made us all feel better.
Yes.
Mary, you had another question you said you had.
So my other question was, we've seen Who Do You Think You Are going spin-offs in other countries. When is Relative Race going across the pond?
That's a great question, Mary.
I will say that I have been talking with the network about this for 4 years. So we'd like to do it. We've had other production companies from other countries that have asked for the production rights to produce their version of Roller to Brace
Right.
in other countries. I've taken that back to the network. My understanding is that they're working on that. I also understand, my understanding is that they are selling, they are working with other networks in other countries right now to pick up past episodes of Roller to Brace and show those in other countries.
Wow, that's great.
But your question is, when are we going across the pond? Your guess is as good as mine, because I've been asking for 4 years. So
Well, I know at Roots Tech London, everybody assumed that you were at Roots Tech London because you were trying to get the
Making an
show. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for, but that didn't happen. So, but it was fun.
I would
just fun
like to.
being
That's
there.
my namesake. The Debenhams, my name is
Yeah.
the correct pronunciation is actually Debenham.
Yeah.
And the Debenhams are from, there's a town of Debenham, there's a little village of Debenham on the Devon River, and
Yeah.
that's where all my family's from. And so, yeah, I'd love to, I can tell you that we'd love to do something. And I will tell you that this is true. I actually just sent an email to the network this morning saying, hey, next season is our 10th anniversary. If we do
Yeah.
this again, it's the 10th anniversary. And I said, I have some creative ideas.
Woohoo.
And so hopefully we're going to meet and talk about those things soon. So I
And
would
you
love
need to do
I would love
something to include your biggest fans.
Yeah.
Seriously, we thought last year we would be a great, one of the activities, the trials.
Oh, that's
that
right.
we
We could
should
try
have a college GenFriend line.
college and friend. That's too funny. That is really funny. Laura, you said you had a question?
Yeah, so then right before we hit the record button, you were saying that you're starting season 9 recording as season 8 premieres.
Yeah. So
Is there a logical reason why you do that to yourselves?
once the shows start airing, so right now we are just about halfway through editing the final episode of this current season, season 8. Okay.
Oh.
So right now internally, we're about halfway through editing episode 10. So we've been working on season 9 for about 8 months. And so in order to do two per year in a calendar year, we constantly have to be kind of, hopping from one to the next. And so when we're in pre-production for one season, we're in post-production for a prior season. And we just keep it going that way. Now, whether the network wants to continue they've gone back and forth saying, well, we just want one season a year. And then they've said, and then we want 2 seasons. Then they'll say that they want 1 season. It's completely up to the network.
Right.
They're our client, and we have a really good relationship with them. And we just ask, would you like 1 or 2? And then we go to work.
Okay. And then my other question is really for everybody. One thing I didn't understand last night with the green team with Steve and his uncle. First is I thought his uncle said he wasn't sure whether his sister he hadn't been sure whether his sister had existed, but then he had a photograph.
Yeah.
Right.
And that confused me. Didn't?
Yeah, I can understand why. I can understand why. It's just as simple as, let me see, how can I say this correctly? We only have so much time in every episode, right? And we work closely with the network to make final cuts. And sometimes something that takes 15 seconds to explain, we don't have 15 seconds.
Right.
And there's a mutual decision that, you know what, it's just going to have to be accepted that somehow he got the photo instead of explaining everything every time.
Makes sense.
Believe me, I get that. Laura, I'm with you. I'm fighting for, hey, let's explain.
Mhm.
How did he not know he have a sister? But oh, by the way, I just conveniently happen to have a picture.
I just figured the production team gave it to him so that
Yeah,
something
that's what I did
positive-
too.
And
Positive to
that's
give
what happened.
Yep,
Yeah.
something positive to give him because he had to give him the bad news about his mother,
Yeah.
and that
Boy,
was
it hit him hard. You
it
know?
hit him hard. And you know what else? And I know other people have a question. Bernice, you can go after this, but just his reaction to his uncle. I'm sorry you had to be the one to tell me that. That must have been hard. Just got to me that he had this, really bad, I'm sorry that your mother is no longer living, this really bad news, but then he was able to think about his uncle and how hard it must have been to have to tell him. So that just endeared Stephen to me.
And realized the uncle didn't know he had a sister, so he also has the loss himself.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
heart all the way around, all the way around. Bernice, you had a question? You've been sitting there so patiently.
Yes, I'm really interested in the various challenges that you put forth. And I want to know the first thing, do you ever repeat a challenge in the
No.
next season? Okay, then second, do you have a book of challenges? And third, who's coming up with these in the first place?
These are really good questions. So first of all, we don't repeat a challenge. And I have to actually, so I have a business partner, Tom Zadunich. That's where our Z comes from in LensWorks, our company. He's super talented, but Tom runs, I run what's considered the pre-production and initial creative, and Tom runs the post-production. And Tom is like one of the most creative dudes on the planet. But one of the things that we split responsibilities on the show as executive producers. And one of my responsibilities is overseeing all the challenges. And so it's amazing that, first of all, you would think that we would all remember from season to season every challenge that we've ever had. But you'll be amazed at sometimes where we're like 2 months down the road and I'll go in to check on the challenges and meet with our crew of 5. We have 5 full-time people that concept, construct, build, test, and time out those challenges. And then I get with those 5 people at certain periods during the process to say, hey, this isn't working, or I thought it would look like this, or we got to change the rules, or we need to change a challenge. I just changed a challenge for season 9. We're filming in, like I said, 11, 12 days. And I just changed one of the challenges last week. So 3 weeks before we were filming, I went in and I said, hey, what happened to this challenge? And they said, oh, well, we kind of, and I said, whoa, who said you could kind of like what? And they said, well, we kind of thought this, and I said, yeah, that ain't happening. We got to come up with a different challenge right now. And we literally, I said, have you guys had lunch? No. I said, we're doing a 5 guys creative session. We went to 5 guys, burgers and fries, and we sat down and we came up with what I think is quite frankly going to be one of our more fun challenges for this season. But so first of all, it's not too uncommon that we'll get down the road and go, wait a minute, didn't we have a challenge like this 3 years ago? And we'll go back and go, oh, we did. So we will never repeat a challenge, even though sometimes we come close to it. B, I think you said, how much time did you say does it take to create those? So we have a full-time staff of 5 people.
Okay.
And because remember that it's not just creating the challenge, but then once they create the challenge, they have to create 4 of them. They have to build out 4 of them. They get loaded on 4 different trucks, and those challenge producers then go out a half day ahead of the teams in the city parks or buildings, wherever that challenge is set up. But there has to be 4 of them every time. So it takes about 5 months to concept, build out, test, throw some challenges away and start on new ones, and then get them ready for shipping. And then the last one was how many people? I think you said it's 5.
Book. We want the book.
We want a book.
A book of challenges.
Oh, the book of challenges.
Yeah, we want
I will tell you, I don't have a book of
Yeah.
challenges, but I will tell you that for 3 years, I have talked with my daughter. So I have 1 daughter and 3 boys. My daughter's the oldest. She's like the biggest Relative Race fan. I think Cheri, you met her once.
I have. I did. Yeah. Took a
she
picture of
was
you and your
my-
grandkids. Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's my pride and joy. I mean, all my kids are awesome, but she's amazing. So she loves Relative Race. In fact,
Yeah.
she called me up yesterday and said, Dad, come out for a fish fry and watch Relative Race with me and the girls. So I did. So my point is that Jenica, she's a really smart, she's an entrepreneur like her dad. And she was saying like 3-4 years ago, she said, Dad, you have all these challenges in these warehouses. What about, renting those challenges out to people who are having family reunions
Yes.
or corporate parties or,
Yes.
well, so we tested it at my family reunion like 3 years ago. We had like, I don't know, like 90 from my mom and dad. I think we had like 70 people from my mom and dad. It was the favorite family reunion. They had so much fun.
Yeah.
Then my daughter said, Dad, is there any way, I've got this adorable neighbor. She loves Relative Race. Is there any way her daughter's having a birthday party? Her daughter's 15. She loves Relative Race. She's having 25 girls over. So we brought them out 3 challenges. They said, they just about, yeah,
Love
so
it.
we don't have a book of challenges, but I swear we should start a business where you
You
can
need to start that book first.
Yeah, tell your daughter to put a book together. It would sell. The Relative
Yeah,
Race challenges
totally
for
sell.
family reunions.
At
It
home
would be-
guide.
we've
Yep.
been suggesting that for years, and nobody's been listening to us.
it would, well, to construct these, some of them would be very doable,
Right.
but others are
Oh, I know.
thousands and
Oh, yeah.
thousands of
Some you
them.
couldn't do,
While
but
others- some of the most fun ones that I thought would be clunkers that turned into the most fun. Do you guys remember Smell and Tell?
yes.
Where they hung stuff up and they were blindfolded and they had all they could use was their nose and mouth and their
Right.
face to try to figure it out. We had bones and baseball gloves and
Yeah.
a diaper, and that would be very easy to do, and it was fun, and it
Yeah.
worked really
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love the costume one last season.
Oh, that was hilarious. The opera
Right.
singers.
Are you like me sometimes where you are going, how do you not know that that is England? Or how do you not know that that is India? Or, I'm sitting there thinking, because I'm testing these challenges months
Yeah.
before, and I go, guys, this is going to be really simple. They go, no, we tested it with a bunch of people. And I go, are you telling me people don't even know what the flag of Germany looks like? And they're like, they don't. And sure enough, people go see it up there. So people like us, I guess, that are a little older, these youngsters don't necessarily know what we know. It makes me feel very smart, by the way.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Anybody else got a question for Dan? So fun to have you on.
I love being here.
How can we be prepared? Is there any little icon or emoji that y'all can put on the show with the tear jerker on that something is coming? Yeah, I was not
Just
ready
warn
for
us
last
ahead of
night.
time. Warn us ahead
Tear
of time.
jerker alert.
Issue time, yeah.
Tear
You
warning.
should get Kimberly
Jesus.
Clark to sponsor you because everybody's going to need the Kleenex.
Exactly.
I swear, we should all buy stock in Kleenex and have them
Yes.
sponsor us. No, it's funny. Everybody thinks that, for instance, when we bought those, all those Hyundai vehicles,
Mhm.
everybody thought, I had everybody say, "Oh, you got Hyundai as a sponsor." I said, "Yeah, I wish." No, we bought eight Hyundais. So
Right.
we actually have a behind the scenes video that's going to start streaming on their social media platform, talking about those cars and why we had to get them, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, no, I like that idea though. I think we should have like a tear emoji and have it
Or
flashing
yes,
Yeah,
warning,
yeah.
tear alert ahead.
it's coming.
I
I
like
just was not, put it this way. Now, as much as I love Ken Burns and every documentary, my mom, 91, no, we're going to watch Relative Race. You can't watch Ken Burns and the Muhammad Ali. We're going to watch Relative Race because they came on at the same time.
Oh, that's funny.
I
That's,
like that. That makes
She's a fan too.
I like it.
oh gosh. Well, I know you can't tell us anything about the season because then, you can't do it. But
I'd have to kill you. Yeah.
and nobody nobody, you know, it's just us, but yeah, it has started out.
It's just us and then the entire internet. But besides that, it's the World Wide Web. I don't understand. I told you guys what happened. Didn't I tell you what happened when I went to go film in India about 3 years ago? This is a true story, guys.
Oh yeah, tell us again. I know this story.
So
Tell us
our
again.
Our company, Lensworks Productions, does other things.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we do is we have a really good relationship with Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, and we film their hotels and resorts around the world.
Right.
And we were filming 5 resorts in India, and I'd never been to India. So I said, well, I'm going to go produce this myself. So we land in Mumbai, and we're waiting for a 6 o'clock flight to take us to Goa, where these resorts were at. We'd had like a 30-hour flight to get to Mumbai, and we're exhausted, but we had to take all of our equipment, all of our film and video equipment, and lights and everything out. Once you get to the country that you're filming in, then you have to go through customs and then recheck it into the airline there. So that's what I do. It's like midnight. And again, our flight's not till 6 o'clock in the morning. We've checked off of Delta Airlines, and now we find this Goa Airlines or Air India. I can't remember, something like that. And there is, I'm not kidding, there is one fluorescent bulb that is flickering. I know this sounds like a skit from Saturday Night Live, but it's true. And there's like, so we are, and by the way, I've never seen an airport that big in my life. And the whole thing was super cool, except for this one desk area. So we get to this one desk area, and there's this handsome looking, like, I don't know, 24-year-old. He's the only guy there. And I come up and I said, hi, we'd love to check our equipment in. We're on that 6 o'clock flight to Goa. And he says, oh, I'm sorry, you know, you can't check in until 2 hours before the flight. And I said, well, you know, I'd be happy to pay a little extra or whatever. We really would like to go to an airline club and just try to grab some sleep. We're exhausted. So I'll pay you what you need. And he said, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. And he said, I wish there was. And in the middle of that, he goes, wait a minute. I know you. And I looked at me and my photographer and my producer. I said, you know who? He goes, you. I said, me? You know me? And he said, yeah. And I said, huh. And I'm thinking, he's way too young for ESPN, because I spent 9 years at ESPN, but that was a long time ago. So I said, well, were you a fan of ESPN? He goes, oh, I don't like sports. He goes, I like cricket, but I don't like sports. And I said, okay. And then I thought, oh, maybe Wyndham Hotels, because I'm also their spokesperson. So I said, well, have you stayed at Wyndham? He goes, what is Wyndham? I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, that didn't work. And then I said, well, have you been to the States, the United States? He goes, oh, I'd love to go someday, but I've never been there. And that's when he goes, that's where I know you. He says, you're the man. He says, you knock on the door and it opens up and you take people across the country to find family. And I went, you watch Relative Race? That is the name of the show. You're the man. He says, and he's so cute. He goes, knock, knock, door opens up and you go, I'm your mother, I'm your father. He says, and they go across the country. And he goes, I will check your bags in.
Oh,
Wow.
True story. I took a picture with the guy and sent it to the network, and I said, you got some dude in India that streams and watches the show.
yeah.
What?
Cross the pond.
I said, how did you find the show? And he says, I came home one day and my mother said she found this show.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you just found the show? Because
That's
my
a
mother
great
said she found
story.
the show.
Yeah, that's a
And he
great
summed it up. You knock on doors and you say, there's family. That's exactly.
You're the man that take people across America. Knock, knock, open door.
Open
I'm
door.
your mother. I'm your father. Hello.
That's a t-shirt.
That's
Knock,
a t-shirt.
knock, open the door.
Girl, you got a lot of stuff. You got some entrepreneurial ideas here. She's like, I want a Relative Race Challenge book.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
The emoji and the knock, knock t-shirt.
There we go. There we go.
And on the back, I'm your mother. Or
You
I'm your
have like an anti-knock knock joke book. Like, knock knock, who's there? I'm your mother. Your mother who? Your real mother.
So funny. That's so funny. Well, we wish we could pull tons of information out of you about this season, but we know we can't. But it started. I can't even. I was like, how do you keep doing this? It just keeps getting better and better. And who would have thought day one we'd be crying and sobbing?
Well, I will tell you that the new season, so you're going to love this season, season 8, but season 9, which we're getting ready to film, which will air this coming spring, we are starting in a way that will be different from any other season, and it is super emotional. Super.
All right, there's our Kleenex alert. There's our Kleenex alert.
And when will that one air?
It will air next spring. The network doesn't tell us until typically like 6 weeks out, but they have been moving it up a little bit. They used to not air it until April, but I think they started last season in May. Excuse me, I think they started it in March. I think they started.
I think so. I think you're right.
In March, yeah. So
Like 6
we're
months
not
away.
told
Yeah.
until like 6 weeks, but we just know that we got to get it done.
Right.
So
And
we're gonna
and you
done.
get it done very, very well.
Yeah.
Very, very well. So we appreciate how you treat the teams. We appreciate how you deal with the families, and it's all love. It's all done out of love and desire to connect them together. And so we really appreciate that. And I think that's why the show is such a big hit. It's because of the way that the show is done and the feelings that people get when they watch the show. It's not a gotcha kind of thing. It's love. It's just love. And so, Shelley, you said you had one last question before we go?
How are the boys doing? in
Oh,
Florida?
the
Team
twins.
Blue.
Yes.
Team Blue.
Yes.
So I actually I don't know if I ever posted that. I should post that. I actually was in Orlando after the show and had them out for a barbecue, and I loved being with them. Loved it.
They're
And we
doing
got-
okay.
They are doing well. They both when I was with them. Now this was about 6 months ago. But when I was with them about 6 months ago, I went out to their home, picked them up, brought them out for the barbecue, asked if they needed anything. They are fiercely independent, which I tremendously respect.
Love
They were
that.
so amazing. And they both have jobs in call centers. And they just talked about how their entire life changed because of all the family that they met.
Right.
And then they add to that, they say, as is typically the case, not always, but typically, that the relative race family, meaning it was their quote unquote competitors on the show that put this all together
Yes.
with
Right.
their family to move them down to Florida to be closer to family. And they were doing quite well, and their spirits seem to be up,
Right.
but they are absolutely I fell in love with them. I fell in love with Raymond, Team Red.
Yes.
Big, huge Raymond.
Yes.
Raymond and I communicate about every 45 days.
Oh, that's
for
wonderful.
years.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I just, and then Joe Henline and I
Yeah.
talk on a regular basis. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
Joe's still live tweeting the show, so we get on there.
he's
live
live
tweet that-
tweeting.
Yeah, we're live tweeting, so we still connect with that live tweet. So
yeah, we like to say that our relative race family is part of our Lensworks production family forever.
Sure.
We mean it. We
Right.
have many of the teams that have come in
yeah,
to our area, and they know that they have open rooms at our homes. My business partner and I, or their producers that were on the road with them, they'll often come in town and stay with those producers, and I'll give them a relative race car that we have at our offices, and they feel very comfortable in those cars, and they'll drive all throughout the region and enjoy that hospitality. But we fall in love with them here, just as you guys do.
yeah,
And,
and you can feel it. You can feel it on the show, and that's what.
Well,
I think
that's why it's successful, because
that's the
they're
secret sauce
genuine
right there.
on
Right.
what you're doing. you
Right.
know.
And let me
it's-
just tell you real quick, Anthony has started a YouTube channel. So I'll put his link in the show notes.
Oh,
He's started a
great.
YouTube
Yeah, for
channel
sure.
where he's kind of testing out his poems and his music that he's trying to put together.
Good.
So he
Great.
just started
Sure.
that, and so I'll put the link on so we can get him a
Great.
lot of people to subscribe for that. So very cool.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much for being here. Anybody else have a last minute question? I don't want to get off and say I needed to ask.
I just say this has been a really weird experience for me as the other Dan. Like every time I hear Dan, I feel like I'm that, you know how like you get that half second of panic when the teacher calls your name and you're like, oh, I'm not paying attention right now. Like it's been that throughout the entire thing. Like even though I have been paying attention, I hear Dan, I'm like, what? What did I do? Was I picking my nose? Was like something going on? Like it's got to
Probably.
We have to go back and do something. Like, oh my goodness. It's been that through the whole thing. So
Heaven forbid, if anything happens to me, the other Dan can be the host.
There you
There
go.
you go.
And
I'm
he would-
ready to step in. I'll grow a beard if I have to, and
Yeah.
just jump in. And it can be seamless, Dan. I'm telling you, they could barely tell the two
I
of us apart,
agree.
you know?
I agree. It could be seamless.
All righty, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks.
tonight. I almost said for relative race for GenFriends. Just send us a note and tell us a little bit who's your favorite team this season and who you're rooting for. And we will see you next time on Relative Race. On Relative Race. I did that on purpose. On GenFriends. We'll see you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.